This is Lauren.
This is Trey.
And this
is the Partnership Podcast.
Like, what if our big emotions start triggering our partners? What do we do then? Okay, so within your domain are your thoughts, feelings, emotions. Within my domain are my thoughts, feelings, emotions. What do we do when those thoughts, feelings, emotions spill out of our container, are in the third domain or in the space between us, and they start triggering our partner? Who has responsibility for what? A note in the phone and then you sent it to me. Do you remember what we were going to talk about on that thing? We thought we were so great. We were coming back from the...
This is peak podcasting right now.
Peak.
Where
Well,
it's,
you know
we
what,
get
you
in the
can-
chairs,
what
we
do you
turn...
do?
I'm talking. So we get in the chairs. This is the fucking... It's the tip of the spear right here of
Some
podcasting.
people keep reaching out to be on the Sex Ed For You podcast, which is amazing.
Good.
Thank you all for asking.
No one reaches out to be on this motherfucker, right?
No, people have. The point was, Holland was like, if we do that, we have to prepare like interview questions. And people don't understand like that we sit in these chairs and we're like, what shall we talk about today?
Yes and no. We kind of have a premise or like, let's talk about this, and then it just flies. But sometimes some of our best podcasts is should we start over? I feel like we should start over. You know what? I feel disconnected.
Do you all see?
I don't feel safe.
Do you want a listening turn? Do you all see how he disagrees? This man is made to say no in his soul. He says we sit in the chairs and we go. And then I say we sit in the chairs and we go. And he's like, we don't do that.
Is that motherfucker? Now I'm in my head. What are we chopping up, babe?
No, but seriously, didn't we write something down?
Let's
Do you want
take
to
a look.
can you, if there's a note, because this is, while Trey pulls this up, I will tell the story.
Oh, you don't have to talk the whole time, too. I'll edit this out.
I'm talking.
Good morning, honey. Welcome to this episode
of the
Partnership Podcast
Episode
by Lauren and
88,
Trey.
Magical. The idea of when we are feeling emotional, and somebody was sharing this at training too, how much, like, what if our big emotions start triggering our partners? What do we do then?
Yeah.
And that kind of came up with our friends last night.
Yeah. Keep going.
Okay. This idea of, okay, so within your domain are your thoughts, feelings, emotions. Within my domain are my thoughts, feelings, emotions. What do we do when those thoughts, feelings, emotions spill out of our container, are in the third domain or in the space between us, and they start triggering our partner? Who has responsibility for what? How is it safe inside a partnership to feel your feelings? And at what extent is it harmful, abusive, unkind to the other you're in partnership with? Like, to be sitting over there just screaming in a corner. We've talked about this when you had some, like, you were not the Trey that I know now with the anger before when we first met. Anyway, yeah, does that give enough of kind of what to talk about?
Sure.
Because I'd love to talk about that time I got bit by a tick and then I was,
Go ahead.
herxing. Are we recording now? This is all for the audience. In my work with partnerships, my work is separate than like couples counseling or marriage counseling in that I care less about the relationship succeeding or staying together, more about the agency of all parties involved. One of the reasons that was very harmful for me in a season. I wish someone had said, let's get Lauren healthy, let's get her ex healthy, then let's see if this is compatible. So as a intimacy coach and sexuality educator, we work a ton on agency. And after Wheel of Consent training, we now have these terms like domain, of my domain, your domain. Clients have brought up sometimes, and I just think this is such a juicy point, and we talk about this in session, and then I'll come out of session sometimes and talk to you about it, but I don't think we've talked about it on here. The responsibility, I'm posing it to you, the responsibility that you and I have for our own thoughts and feelings, and what do we do when those emotions start to affect our partners? The infamous story with us when it comes to me is in 2021, I got bit by a tick, which, if anyone knows, in Central Virginia is a real problem. They carry diseases. It often can lead to Lyme disease here in Virginia. And what you look for is a ring around the tick bite. And sure enough, it must have been 2021 because I was trying on wedding dresses for a wedding ritual with Bestie J. And he was like, "What's this on your back?" And it was a giant ring around a tick bite that I didn't know I had had. So I go immediately to the doctor, which is what you do here. You get some doxycycline. And I got it. What I didn't know is how powerful that antibiotic is. They said, like, don't get excessive sun exposure. And I was like, okay. I didn't know about this thing called herxing. So I get this med. I fly across the country to you. It's one of our fun weeks. I'm working remotely. I'm going to our gym over in Long Beach. I am experiencing crazy symptoms, neurological symptoms, such as my fingers start tingling. I kept saying, like, is it raining? And you'd be like, what? My fingers started tingling. The face heat that I would experience if I worked out from movement and exercise, like burning red face. Anytime I was in the sun, the finger tingling would start. Anytime I worked out too hard, the finger tingling would start. I was burning like crazy, like super patchy burning. I don't burn. All of these weird symptoms. When it first happened, you were like, "Oh, baby, I'm so sorry. Like, that sounds so frustrating. Like, did the doctors talk about this?" And I said, yes. And then I also talked to a lot of friends who have experience with Lyme, and they said that's called herxing. It's your body like getting things out with the antibiotic. It is a really strong antibiotic. Just take it a little easier. Did I take it easier? No, I did not take it easier.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah.
You said weird symptoms. Have you shared with the audience the medical advice that you were given while on this antibiotic?
Stay out of the sun and don't work out too hard.
Okay, and you were doing...
Sit in the sun and working out very hard.
Please
every
continue.
day.
Please continue.
Here's the thing about me. There's not many things that I need. I need exercise. I thrive on it. And I need outside time when it's beautiful. Now, excess is something I have a hard time with. So I was not obeying the instructions. So at first, Trey was like, oh, like showed compassion, and then was like, did the doctor say anything about this? I said yes. And you were like, okay, like, give yourself permission to take it easy over these next few days. And I'm like, And then I just proceeded to continue to do all of this stuff that I like to do. And then the symptoms just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And so we're driving out. Are we going to the cliffs of Terranea? I don't remember where we're going. We're going up because we stopped at that Starbucks. And I remember us pulling into that infamous Starbucks. And I'm crying. And you're like, what is it? And I said, I just want you to have empathy for me or something. And you looked at me and you were like, babe, I'm paraphrasing here. This is what my body remembers. I don't know what you said, but you looked me square in the eyes and you said, babe, I had empathy for you the first time. Now you need to follow the fucking directions. I do not have empathy for a person who refuses to follow the directions that will make her feel better. And I was like,
I don't think I cursed at you, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You were just like, you put up this firm boundary of, I will not be extending empathy to someone who has a tool.
Was the baby in the car also?
No.
No, it was just us?
It was just us. Who has a tool. Maybe she was there on this trip.
Okay.
Who has a tool to help herself feel better and does not choose to take that tool and instead wants to complain about her weird symptoms.
Not weird. You've said weird twice now. Not weird if they were medically expected. Not weird.
True. Well, I had never heard the tingling described.
Okay.
Like no one had said, this is what's going to happen if you do this.
Okay.
It was just like, stay out of the sun and don't exercise excessively.
Mm-hmm. And you were exercising in the sun. For clarification?
Because it was COVID times. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. Sorry. It wasn't even.
I remember that. Like, I remember you just going, I just want some empathy. Like, and the way I remember it, me and the baby, because she was
there.
She was 10 or 11. And the way I remember it was we both just looked at you. What are you talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a come to a Jesus moment where it's like, no, if this is going to happen if you continue this behavior. Yeah. So you can complain all you want, but if you could just not do it to us, much appreciated. There was no empathy.
There was no empathy.
It was off the menu.
Yeah. Perfect way to say it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you got it the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With some curiosity. I'm so sorry. That sounds so scary.
Yeah.
Was this talked about? Can you seek help or advice from anyone? Mm-hmm. I did. I just didn't take the advice.
Okay.
And so then I proceeded to experience the symptoms still. And yeah, I had no empathy.
What did we learn from it?
This is our partnership. And what I learned in that moment was, I just remember feeling so shocked because I had never not received empathy from you before. So I was like, what's the difference here? And the difference, I believe now, again, I didn't have these words then, was my job. That was my job, to tend to my own body and neurological symptoms that had been forewarned to me by a professional, by a medical professional, by friends who have walked through similar things. And whether or not I chose to do that, my choice. You didn't say, stop exercising. You didn't say, stop laying in the sun. You said, choose whatever you want, knowing their natural consequences. And please do not expect overflowing empathy if you choose to go against medical advice. I respect your choice. I respect your agency. But I will not be mollycoddling you if you are experiencing the things they told you you'd experience. And it was just a beautiful wake-up call of, that's mine to do. And like what I loved about it is you didn't tell me what to do. You just told me, I don't extend past here. That is outside of my limits. I will not be doing that. Yeah. And it was just fascinating. It was this beautiful, it's one of the things I love about our partnership is that this isn't just a free pass to treat each other poorly. This is a partnership where we call each other to the best versions of ourselves. And that was a moment of it for me. Was it a little uncomfy? Yeah. And did I feel a little embarrassed that I was being, I mean, you said it a couple of weeks ago, like I whine when I'm outside of my limits.
Yeah. I think it's very human.
I do, but I've been noticing it. I'm like, I totally whine. Like, yeah. Yeah, I thought it was great. Uncomfy, but like, not your job. Mm-hmm. Your job, I think I was so shocked because you were usually so comforting to me. Mm-hmm. If something is sad, you're the first one to say, baby, how can I support you today? And I'm like, you know what? I need space for a magnesium salt bath. Like, can you zip me a text at this time and be like, remember it's bath time. And you're like, yep, got it. Right. And then you'll help protect that time. You'll tell the baby, like, I'm your person. Mom's resting, like rejuvenating. You are the first person to protect my healing processes or my restoration processes. And so I just remember being so shocked and then so called to account.
That's interesting, where instead of protect, did I say you need a little bit of remind?
You said this.
Okay.
We did this game, y'all, on
if you're just listening, I'm gesturing for Lauren to come here. Now I'm gesturing for Lauren to like step away. And now my hand's just out like a pause or a stop. I'm gesturing for Lauren to be still. So we played this game where it's, how does this feel? Come closer, stop. Go further away, stop. And then just you're noticing what's going on in your body.
Yeah. We played this at the training and it was just so awesome. Mm-hmm. And what you did in that moment was different than, come here, let me comfort you.
Yeah.
Long day. right? When I have a long day, one of the first things you say is, baby, what do you need? Right? And I'll sometimes say, can you just hold me? And you just told me. That's a come here, right? Of course. And that is empathy. And also, you're not fixing my long day. I tell folks all the time, if I see multiple clients a day, it's not Trey's job to like cheer me up. No, that's got to be me. But sometimes I'll say, do you have capacity for a hug? Can you hold me? I'll sometimes go down to the basement and just say, can I have a holding? And you do. And then I go away. Great. But this time was not a this. It was a no. And I think it was wise. I do. I think it was beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful example of, like, I definitely didn't have any empathy for you in the moment. Yeah, and I didn't really have a space to hear, if you wanted to call it something else, like either I couldn't give you any, I'm hesitant to say it, but like pity.
Sure. No, it's
in
fine.
the moment.
Yeah, use whatever word
and
you
I
want.
didn't have capacity to kind of hear the uncomfort that your body was experiencing. And it truly wasn't, great example, because it truly wasn't mine to fix. Because I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I will remind you that your actions have reactions, which is the nice way to say it. And the other way to say it is like your actions have consequences. And cool, if you want to continue to do this, go complain somewhere else. Yeah. And then it's like, what the fuck? Yeah. It's like, yeah, I don't have space for it. And like, hey, just be careful. Don't mind fuck yourself right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just noticing.
Yeah.
This might be like borderline mind fucking yourself. And I have my hand up again where it's like, you can't mind fuck me right now.
Yeah.
And not, hear me, not insidiously or there's no malice behind that. But just, hey, just be careful of that.
And I think that's why this is such a necessary convo, right? Because there are times and spaces where a partner can provide us with a listening turn or a safe space to decompress, or I don't know, where we want to share and be heard and be understood. Grand. And then Esther Perel talks about this a lot. It is only in recent history that we have asked our partner to be our everything. Trey is not my medical provider, right? I went to a professional to get a tick bite assessed. The professional gave me advice that I was not following. Trey is not my medical provider. Trey was saying, right, making sure, have you checked, do you have somebody who is helping you in this? Great. Kind. Okay, great. I recommend you listen to them. And your choice whether you do or not. But I am not going to be sitting here. I don't have capacity for that. And I think in partnership, we have conflated this idea of being there for one another with having to listen to each other's bullshit. And I don't think we have to. And I think it was training that finally gave me this visual when they put this blanket out on the floor and invited one of our colleagues to step in. And she stepped into the square and they were like, okay, this is your domain, right? And we dropped all these words in there: emotions, feelings, body, desires, drives. And they were standing in the middle. And then, right, my thoughts and emotions do get to be mine. My feelings do get to be mine. You didn't take those away from me. But you said they don't get to spill over into the third domain and then into me. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'd argue that's actually a healthy existence, because then we're not, what did we call it? Fusing, right? There's not all of this porousness.
Fusion.
We talked about this in Jessica Fern's work.
It's the unhealth of being together.
Porous boundaries,
it's
right?
Codependence.
Like, think of when something seeps into a cake, when you do a boozy cake, you literally inject booze into the cake or something like that. It's very porous. It's going to absorb it. It is not Trey's job to absorb my natural consequences of disobeying a doctor's orders.
It was the opposite. Where I was like, yo, check yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
Keep going.
No, what's that?
Can we do two things? Can we talk about because we have a teenager. Can we talk about a kind way of saying that you're full of shit?
Okay.
In situations, like a really sweet, kind, affirming way. And then can we give an example of a listening turn for our dear, gentle audience?
Mm-hmm. I think we did that last time, but we'll do it again.
Can we do it again?
Yeah. And can I add one more request? Can we think of a time where also I was experiencing your emotions and was not okay with me?
Deal. Yeah.
Because I think, and then let's talk about why it's okay to say, I don't have capacity, and loving ways to say, hands up.
Great.
Pause. Because I think it's helpful. Great. But what were you going to say? We can do whatever order.
Let's do a listening turn.
Okay.
Can I request a 5-minute listening turn from you?
Yeah. You can. How would you like my face?
Oh, just you be you. Mm-hmm. And if you could avoid going mm-hmm or uh-huh okay. or yeah, that's it. And then also I could ask for, could you just actually have just kind of a neutral face, which is very similar almost to like, I don't know, a poker face. That's what I think of. Yeah. Where like my face just really stays neutral.
Mm-hmm. And not do that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, I like a time limit. And then we'd literally set a timer. Or if you wanted to do an untimed listening turn. And then Lauren's job, she's giving the gift of listening to me and I'm receiving the gift of being listened to. So I will talk literally without her talking at all. And then at the end of it, since she's given me the gift, I will say thank you to close my listening turn.
And I will say, you're welcome.
Great. That's an example of a listening turn. Perfect.
And tell me when you're ready to begin.
Oh, no. I just want to give the example.
Oh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Grand.
That's you mentioned listening turn when you were talking.
I see. Mm-hmm. It's been revolutionary for us.
It's been great. We did a couple of listening turns yesterday. They were awesome.
Yeah.
I'm always afraid of taking up too much space or running on, like having my words run on. I take pride in being very clear and concise and quick because I don't really admire people that don't. Like that kind of...
Take up space.
Yeah, take up space.
Non-consensually.
Or just, I don't know, kind of, what is it? Say a bunch of bullshit or say a bunch of stuff and kind of not really mean anything. So I like quick, concise. I like quick meetings. I like time meetings, 15-minute meetings, 10-minute meetings, 30-minute meetings. Mm-hmm. So I like to be clear, but the listening turn is I kind of get permission to do the opposite and kind of strengthen that muscle. I'm just trying to talk. And do I get in my head? Sure. But sometimes I'll hit that kind of nice flow. But it's nice to have the space to do that, to flow within structure. Maybe. Have a structure, but get to freestyle within it.
It's really nice for me on the listening end to know that the gift I'm giving to you is my presence, that I don't have to do anything. It's so lovely, so relaxing. I think I pride myself on being a good listener. When I do an intake with clients, for instance, they're sharing their knowledge, skills, and attitudes. And after each section, I will say, can I repeat back what I have heard? And you can correct me, or you can say, I said this really, what I really meant was this, and this type of responsive listening. And I often get, wow, like I feel so heard. Yay, wonderful. And what everyone might be able to notice there is I am listening so actively to respond. And I am also thinking immediately of their care plan, right? How I am going to, if I am able to, if I am fitted to, support them with their goals and objectives. That's what I spend 90% of my weeks doing, is listening to act. So this idea of dismantling that is feeling like lusciousness. Like, you mean I can just sit here? Also, it's restoring so much power back to the speaker because it's like they figure it out on their own. And I love something that like breaks apart hierarchies. Yeah. Like Trey doesn't need me to respond with something. He can ask for feedback or ideas, but most of the time we are such brilliant human beings who can figure things out on our own.
Okay, thank you for that, baby. The next one, what is a nice way for me to say you're full of shit?
To me or to the bebe?
To the world. Just in general, a nice way of communicating. Could it be like, oh, I think there's another solution other than that? What's a nice way of saying or calling out someone on their bullshit? Like, for an example, bringing it back to the tick bite. You could say I called you out on your bullshit. Mm-hmm. What's the nice way of doing so? We've got a soon-to-be 14-year-old in the house. And she's the sweetest baby in the world.
She's the sweetest.
She's the sweetest, but boy, oh boy.
And it is their job. I'd like to
It's their
remind
job,
the parenting
yeah.
team that it is the 14-year-old's job. They're in this really strong season of individuation to attempt to try things.
Set my timer for 28 minutes.
To challenge us. To push to the edges of their limits.
Sure.
That is their job. What's a nice way to call someone on their bullshit? I think the amount of relationship that you have with someone matters.
So the amount of trust that you have with someone matters.
The amount of permission you have been given to speak into this person's life or not.
Cool. Great. Good.
I think the desire with which you have the desire you have to stay in relationship with this person or not.
Yeah, whether or not you want to get them. I want to get them, or I want to be right. Yeah.
Well,
that
yeah,
plays
I think
into it.
also if someone's full of bullshit and you are casual friends, you just don't have to be friends with them anymore. Mm-hmm. And
shit, you got to be careful of projection. Like, are you full of bullshit and you're projecting someone? Yeah.
Yeah. So if we were to cancel out a couple things and you're talking about how to call someone who is in close relationship out on their bullshit, I feel like I can answer that question more clearly. Is that okay?
Yeah. And I would love to even rephrase it where it's like, how do we call them to a higher state of...
Because I think it's...
How do we inspire them to reach further up?
Bullshit to an adult with a fully formed frontal lobe is different than bullshit to an almost 14-year-old.
Yeah. She's literally going through like baby adult brain right now. Like, they're just fighting each other.
Like, it was fascinating. We went to the optometrist for like an eye appointment, and it's just the eyeball changes in puberty. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is just really cool. It is not a figment of the imagination. I definitely had said, you don't need glasses. Trey and the baby were like, are you gaslighting?
No, that's not what Lauren said. I'd be happy to clarify. We were at our favorite Mexican restaurant, and Lauren says, oh, yeah, we'll find out if it's not all in your head. We both just looked at her.
Listen, I've had finer moments.
We have so many special moments ganging up on you about the things that you say, because our brains just align.
Like those
we go mind meld.
Looks.
We go, you think she's fucking... she's just making all this shit up? You think she's fucking... You think this is the long grift, honey? That's why she's fucking next to the television or saying, yeah, it's hard for me to see the TV, the long con. My God, woman.
Anyway, they laughed a very long time.
So funny.
So it was fun to go to the eye doctor and find out.
Making it up.
All in her
That's
head.
what you said.
Sorry.
I'm calling you to a higher level of recounting your embarrassing words.
Okay, so yeah, if back to the real point, not revealing my horrible
Let's move off.
things.
Yeah. Let's move off of Lauren's deficiency.
Duh. My poor family, y'all. I spend all day trying to be like, be careful with my clients' feelings, and then to them, well, God, sorry.
Yeah, we'll see if
that.
you're not all making this up. We'll get.
So
you know what? We'll seek more medical advice.
God.
You can do what you want.
I am. If there wasn't proof that I'm human. There you go. Ugh. Sorry, I've extensively apologized. I would, especially because of exactly what you said, this idea of projection, right? It could feel like bullshit in our body. It might be bullshit in their body. I would say something like, possibly, like, thank you for sharing that with me. You have a right to your thoughts, your feelings. I'm not sure if I have capacity for those right now. Not sure if I agree, and that's okay. I don't need to agree with you. I would like to make a request. The other person could say great or not great. I'd like to request that that's not something we talk about again in the future.
Okay.
That's a very nice and eloquent way. But basically, I don't foresee a world where I think what was so beautiful in the Herxing medication, whatever thing I was experiencing, is that you did not tell me what to do. You said, I don't have capacity for those thoughts and emotions right now. You didn't tell me I couldn't have them, which I think is beautiful. You said they are not invited into my domain right now. I don't care to share them in the third domain right now. Stop right there. I think that is always okay to say. I don't actually think it's our right to determine what is and what is not bullshit in someone else's world.
I like that.
And honestly, what does it matter? Mm-hmm. If they are a bullshitter, we don't need to be in relationship with them. We choose relationship. Mm-hmm. So you can choose to walk yourself out. But if someone is constantly doing that, who needs to be reevaluating but the person who's in relationship with them, right? This idea that we just go around continuing to be in relationships with someone who we feel is like interjecting into us also says a lot about us. Why do we keep... I've been rereading Sternberg's work, which he has this whole idea of love as a story, this narrative form of relationship. And he said, watch out if you're calling someone a bullshitter, for instance, because you're choosing them as a friend. You're choosing them as a partner. So it says a lot about self, who we're choosing to be in relationship with. And it's that we can control. We can say things like, hey, thank you for sharing that with me. It doesn't feel great in my body to have that type of stuff unloaded on me. Totally yours to feel. But in the future, I'd prefer if you shared that with someone else. A professional, a counselor, a therapist, a coach. Yeah. Go.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Love that. Bringing it back to, say, family members where there's not really a choice, or bringing it back to children, where specifically the baby, where it's not beneficial for me to say, hey, you're full of shit. It's the opposite, where she's not going to trust coming to me with things, or there's going to be some type of like, verbal consequences, like say if I screw up or say if Trey disagrees. So what I'd want to do is I'd want to go to curiosity, and then I'd want to encourage the baby to go to curiosity, where she said recently there's no way you can help me on this. And I go, well, let's take a look at that from another level, or I can't figure this out. And I go, okay, let's get curious about this. Let's just kind of start experimenting or playing, or how do we look at it from a different way? What else? What did she say recently? Oh, I forgot. Because my natural response is, well, it's like, well, you don't forget the things that you like. You didn't forget this. You didn't forget that, I owed you $4. You didn't forget getting on your phone with your friends, but you're forgetting your homework. Yeah. I mean, what the fuck? You're full of shit, which is accurate, but it's not going to be beneficial if I say it that way. The other thing is going to be beneficial. Where, reminder, you want more independence. Okay, you got to take care of the things that you don't want to do, aka welcome to adulthood. Welcome to being a responsible human being that's over the age of whatever. So, yeah, my job will be to stay in a place of patience, stay in a place of curiosity, and then monitor myself as to not get too stern, especially with my voice. Because if I'm talking to you like this, it's a little bit sharper, it's a little bit deeper. I'm an intense guy. I can be an intense guy. I can be a lot. And it's gotten me a lot of success, and then it's done the opposite too, where it's like, hey, you need to kind of check yourself. Anyway, so thank you for sharing.
No, I think that was beautiful, and I think, parenting, step parenting, co-parenting, parenting the person you birthed out of your body is a different form of relationship. We always need to be careful with that because young people are hearing us, but they are also watching us. And research shows that they remember far more of what they see than what they hear.
Or what they feel.
Yes.
So if they feel like, holy shit.
Think about how long we have talked on this podcast about the wounds we have from our parents, and they were
And it has to do with feelings. Yeah, gut feeling. Right. Like getting punched or kicked in the stomach. Yeah.
And I think we do a good job with her, not the best job, but like helping her understand too limits and capacities, right? And understanding that we're not going to give out of our limits. And that's why she called me on the other night. I think we talked about it here when I said she didn't have to clean her room. And then I was upset the next day that it wasn't cleaned by a certain time. And she was like, then you should have said no last night.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Right?
Yeah.
So she's learning this verbiage. She truly is.
Good.
And I think, when it comes to homework and it comes to other things, we've been talking about with her the same idea of domain. This is your domain. And these other good gifts you give, which is what we were having in the awesome co-parenting thread of birthday's almost here, that what should be earned through trustworthy behavior in a 14-year-old's life, and what is a good gift that we give as a parenting team. And we're all sitting with that because you're exactly right. Her memory is fire for the things that she wants to remember, which is a very 14-year-old thing to do.
Her memory is spot on when it's convenient for her, yes.
Which, mine was the same at 14, right? I also, our generation, yours and mine, was parented through shame, through guilt, through fear, through threats. I'm not interested in doing that with her.
No.
And so we're all kind of like scrounging around trying to find positive motivation.
Correct. I'll be goddamned if I'm going to talk to her like my mother talked to me. I'm not doing that.
Right? Like mine was like anything you do is a reflection on us, so you better do the best. I'm not doing that to her. Right? So I'm trying to figure out how to motivate a very self-centered, which is good for them. That is like where we are developmentally, almost 14-year-olds. Like, I don't know, not succeeding all the time. And she's a pretty good kid.
Yeah, she's great.
And so, yeah, does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah.
I think that there are ways to say, that's within your domain. And I'm not interested in going in there with you into that mind trap of it's impossible. I'm here to help, making offers and making requests, just like we were coached up. And with parenting, it's just, I think it's a lot of modeling.
Agreed. Mm-hmm. Baby, it is 20 minutes until 9. Mm-hmm. We had one more topic that we want to discuss. Mm-hmm. Do you want to discuss that, or do you want to end here? What feels good for you?
Yeah, no, let's wrap up with the... I was about to be like, well, because I had to talk about my whininess. I think it's important to kind of talk about too, that there was a time earlier in our relationship where you were not a yeller, but you yelled more. Mm-hmm. And that was something we navigated.
Yeah.
And you never yelled at me. There was one moment on the beach on our anniversary trip that people might remember. Y'all, we're going back there very soon. Mm-hmm. And we're going to we're going to do some rituals. We'll tell you all about it. That was the closest you ever came to yelling at me. Mm-hmm. But you did yell. Yeah. And I feel like that's very similar to my experiences where that's not mine to work with, that behavior. Mm-hmm. And yet how I feel it was an emotion that exists within your domain, your body, that 100% had impact on me over here.
Yeah.
when I was in the vicinity of the yelling. And I had to be okay with saying, how you handle your anger is how you handle your anger. I cannot be a part of a relationship where that's how somebody handles their anger. Again, not my choice. You get agency. My body cannot be around that. They kept saying at training, we cannot advocate for our limits unless we understand our domain and our wants and our needs and our desires. My parents were yellers. It is highly disturbing to my nervous system. It makes me afraid. I cannot be around it. And every time you yelled way back in the day, you would always take accountability for it. You would circle back around and say, that's not the person I want to be. And again, it was never at me. It was like at a car thing, or it was when we knew so little about projectors and how much rest they need. It was way back in the day. And I just remember thinking, this is interesting because I now know so much about choice. Thanks, divorce. This is not on Trey to change himself. This is me to decide whether or not I want to be in a relationship with that. Could he change? Sure. If he wants to. But no, right? That is absolutely an example of emotion spilling out of the container onto somebody else. Yeah. Do you remember any of those days?
Like yelling?
Or just like those back in the day, yeah, when there'd be a yelling thing and then you would come and apologize or anything like that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've said this a bunch on this, but like my mother, I learned what rage looked like through my mother, and anybody could get it, where she lost a lot of friendships. So I learned at a very young age not to yell. And then when I did, you make sure and you turn that rage on yourself, because how damaging it can be to point it outward. So yeah, I'll yell and I'll scream, but I won't do it to other people. I'll do it to myself. And then that's why that moment on the beach was, so embarrassing because I know better. And then you get all my patience, and then you didn't. It was so utterly embarrassing for me that I did that. And yeah, it's not yours to fix. That's mine to look at. And I sure as shit did, because I'd like to stay in relationship with you. So I heard that and I received that. I was like, you can't do that. And then I totally agreed. I can't do that. I can't turn my rage and my anger outward. Yeah, it needs to be rerouted. It needs to go to curiosity or things like that. Yeah, that was we were missing each other every other day. And it was over. Yeah. And it was like these wonderful, beautiful moments until it wasn't. And then, yeah, I got really confused and I got really frustrated at you. And I yelled.
I think there's this beautiful thing that happens when we say, that's not okay with me. And I trust you to go do the work. People might remember Is This the Beginning of the End podcast, but I was serious. In partnership, I deeply believe there is Trey's work, there is my work, there is our work. And I can't do Trey's work for him. He cannot do my work for me. When we say to the other, I believe in you, and I actually think you have the capacity, and we give them their agency, and we expect the best of them, and we say, I'm not doing it for you. I'm not mollycoddling you. I'm going to be over here doing my work. And if that means I blow past you and I get healthier and I am desiring of a healthier relationship, peace.
Yeah.
And you're not going to do the work. we were having this conversation with friends yesterday. It is tough to be the truth teller sometimes. But what we do if we don't speak truth and don't say that was not okay, you choose, but I'm going to be over here, is that we rob someone else of the opportunity to go, oh my God, I hurt someone. I don't want to be a herder. I want to do my work. Right? That moment on the beach was horrible, but we can't wait to go back to the beach and thank the beach for that moment where we both, I hope, stood in our bestness. And you got to work, babe. And you showed me that you are the man I fell in love with, and I continue to fall in love with you more and more and more. But to infantilize and say like, well, I guess this is just who he is. And he's not capable of more. And I guess I just have to take this occasional yelling that upsets my nervous system.
I have to sacrifice.
Right? I guess I got to put up with her whininess. No. Please trust me to be the woman you fell in love with, who will go do the work and will get her body out of the sun and stop exercising. Because she's not going to be met with that. She's not going to be met with, yeah, it's fine for you to hurt your body like that. No. Go take care of your body. That's your job, your body, your thoughts, your emotions. And thank you for being the man that I can say the same thing to. No thanks. I will not be treated like that. And again, the beauty is when someone stands up and speaks for themselves and their agency and their domain, gives the other the opportunity to do the same. Then we're both just climbing some mountain together, side by side, scaling, admiring the other, which is so hot and attractive. It's not always easy, but there's your work, there's my work, there's our work. Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for coming to this episode of the Partnership Podcast. Please remember that these are our thoughts, opinions, lived experiences. You have a right to self-determination and informed decision-making. Please disagree with us. Please share your comments, share your feedback. Unfollow, subscribe, do whatever feels best in your body, because it's your body. If you want to talk more with someone who is a sexuality educator and an embodied intimacy coach, I would love to chat with you. You can go to sexedforyou.com/free consult and share some stuff about you and why you think it might be time to work together. Have a great rest of your day, y'all, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.